temperature in control. Man, that looks great.
Jets! Oh my God, it's so beautiful. 78 degrees, Jets football, and we're winning. That's what's going on today. That's why everybody's so psyched. This isn't no happenstance. This is a guarantee, just like Joe Namath said. See that?
There are few things in life you cannot put a price on. Loyalty, tradition, fierce passion. Today is a gigantic family reunion because finally, they're back.
A violent vertical edge setter.
I see some gas on the edge. Get that mindset to put your shoulder on somebody. Dig, drop. You're finished. Hey, first down. This is weird. It worse than that, sorry.
Well, good morning, everybody. Look at us back here again, trying to lick our wounds after a disappointing, deflating loss against Indianapolis Colts. But we're here. It's Saturday, and we have a special show for you today. I'm particularly excited about this one. But before we get too far into it, I want to bring on my co-host extraordinaire, the best-looking fella I know. Let's say hello to Jeremy Cravat. What's up, buddy?
Ryan Griffin is trash. No.
Yeah. Ryan Griffin sucks. Fire Joe Douglas.
That was so funny.
Yeah, we were in the stream during the game, and Jeremy came in and said, Ryan Griffin sucks. Not a 2 minutes later, Ryan Griffin had a fantastic play. And he came back and said, I'm gonna change that. Not so bad. Well, Jeremy, I'm in a good mood today. I'm hoping that people pop in. It seems like we have a few people here in the chat. Phil Adams, no pain, no gain. Eric Craig is here. Astral off the chain popped in. But we have somebody very dear to me today. I'm not sure if you know too much about her, but we have Aunt Gina coming on. What do you think of that?
I think it's great. I've heard the stories of way back in 1982, 83.
Yeah.
I won't give away too much, but you've told us a little bit.
Well, we get to hear it from the other side. I only know my side. I never even thought to ask her, why did you do that? What is this? So I'm going to bring her on now. Now, she only has 30 minutes, so we're going to get right into it. She's actually part of a board running a physical convention right now. So she peeled away to be here with us. And let's say good morning to my lovely favorite Aunt Gina. Good morning, Aunt Gina.
Hi, everybody. I'm here. Tired, but I'm here.
You are? Yeah, that's okay. Tired is kind of the lay of the landscape. That's all right.
It's you're
in Myrtle Beach running a convention right now. Is that accurate?
Yeah, running a convention.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Well, you're very.
We had a
important.
hypnotist last night. Oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing. It was crazy. He was so good.
Did she make you? Did they make
Not
you
me. I
pluck
didn't
the
volunteer.
chicken?
I didn't volunteer
Oh.
because I'm too.
Okay, yeah.
prone
Don't mess
to
with hypnotists.
Because I can meditate so easily now that if I do that, I'm going to be one of those crazy people doing everything that he tells you to do when you're hypnotized, and I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, my sister Heather went and saw one of them in at the Meadowlands Fair years ago, and she actually ended up clucking like a chicken and everything.
He was good. I went there for that too. I saw.
Yeah,
that.
she said it was real. I was like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
It is. He just picked strangers. It was crazy, but it's fun.
It is crazy.
You got to see it. It's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll watch like you. I'm not going to get it. I don't want. It's like they do that to me. I'll never come back. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'm fragile. All the LSD use from my past. I can't play games, Gene.
Post traumatic.
So look, this is you are pretty well known in our circles because you pop into every chat, you watch the live streams, you hang around, and you always seem to be positive. So that's kind of your namesake. Is that accurate? Are you really that positive, or are you full of shit? What
No,
is
I
that?
am. I'm definitely not positive. You know, I've always been a happy person, but I struggled for a couple of years, as you know. And now I feel like I'm back to that real happy, very calm. Believe it or not, I'm calm because I live in the South now. But I wake up every day and I find gratitude for something, you know? Like, yeah, I live in chronic pain, but that's not what I focus on anymore. I don't stay in self-pity. I just stay like, help someone else to help myself because it always makes me feel better, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just a happy person. Like, I got a good life and I have so many blessings. You know what I mean? Like, I'm grandma now. So, yeah,
Wow.
life is good. Took a long time to get to
Blessings.
this point, you know?
Yeah,
Did.
right. Long road, man. But
Yeah.
where the Jets are not one of our blessings these days. So it's amazing that you do stay so positive. First question really for you. I want to know, and I'll set it up, but our family is literally a New York Giants stronghold. Most of
Sure.
our family are diehard Giants fans. How did it end up that you became a Jets fan in the first place? Because I don't remember you as anything other than a Jets fan. You're not
No.
some wishy-washy lady. How did you become a New York Jets fan in a Giants family?
Well, I actually started watching football with Papa, and he liked the Chiefs. I think it was Washington Chiefs before they became Washington Redskins. And I
Oh,
was
yeah?
younger.
Wow.
And then in 1978, I started dating a guy that was trying out for the Jets. So Uncle Vinny would take me to Long Island to see practices. And the guy didn't make the team, but I got season tickets, and Uncle Vinny gave me for Panasonic box seats to go to that game. And it was the last preseason game, so I think it was against the Giants. And ever since then, I became a Jet fan. And like, I just love the Jets. And I'm a person, I think, that likes the underdog part of things and go Jets. And then, when they played that game in Miami, it was played in the stadium, went to the game, and we were losing. And the guy that I was with was like, let's go. And I'm like, no, I don't want to leave. We got 2 minutes to play. And all of a sudden, the Jets start winning. Like, it was crazy. And I was like, I will never leave another Jets game, ever. Because you don't know what they're going to do. They can do miracles.
They can.
Like,
They can
that's
also.
it. I have positive for our Jets. Well, they can be disappointing, but my mind is like, okay, we'll do better next week. Like, not focusing on, well, we got killed in New England, and then we beat Indianapolis. No, it wasn't Indy. What was the team we won on Sunday? That game we won Sunday. And then we lose in Indianapolis, but they're, rock and rolling.
Well, so that's before Jeremy. I want to let Jeremy ask some questions as well. But before we do that, I want to get one thing out there. Like, so I back up my Jets fandom to that day when you took me to the ground round and we watched the AFC Championship game, the Mud Bowl, the Jets versus the Dolphins, and Richard Todd threw a whole mess of interceptions. And there were those guys at the bar kind of rubbing your face. They were Miami fans and they were being jerks. At least that's how I remember it. But let me ask you, from your perspective, why me? Why did you grab me, take me to the game? What happened there? I do not remember. All I remember is being there with you and watching it and being disappointed. But what happened there? Why did you grab this little blonde boy and bring him to the Jets game at the bar? What happened there?
Because from the minute I saw you with your little overalls on, like, that was it. I fell in love. And I was like, I love this kid. And you were such a cool kid that I would take you everywhere. Everywhere I went, I would take you. Like, took you to airplane shows and stuff. Do you remember that?
I do.
And so, you wanted to come and watch a Jet game with me. So I took you to the bar because it was played in Miami, if I remember correctly. And nobody scored the first half of that game. But I thought Richard Todd was paid off to lose. And I was yelling at the TV because it was making me so mad. Like, he would do that in a lot of the games. And I was getting really mad about it because at that time I wasn't the positive person I am now. I was like living in New Jersey and I was being a Jerseyan all the way, And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun.
That was not. So I was just cool.
Yeah.
And, so I was just a cool kid.
You
wanted me to be a Jets fan.
Yeah, and you are. And, it's crazy how it went from, like, to you And then Desiree and Anthony. Anthony started off as a Dallas fan because when he was young, Dallas was winning a lot. But he switched over to the Jets, you know, and now I'm working on Stevie and Giovanni and Michael. That's what's cool is because Michael's parents are Giant fans too. And I'm like, Heather, can I buy him a Jets jersey? She said yes. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Now she's talking about Anthony and Desiree are her children. She has 3, another one, Krista. Yeah. But I actually painted Anthony's room Dallas Cowboy colors. I took the ball to Home Depot. They sampled the color and we painted his whole room Dallas. I remember that. I was so mad. I was like, why the hell you want to be a Dallas fan? Be a Jets fan. But so it worked. They are both Jets fans now. And Michael was the little kid who came with us to the Coney Island. He came to the Cyclone with all the Jets fans. So we're gonna get him, I think, Gene. I think we're gonna get him.
I think so too. And that's his nephew and my great nephew. That's his sister's son. So his sister, we would all go to the games together. You guys were young, early 20s, maybe late teens. Remember we used to go to the games with your friends, and I would tag along, and she would tag along. And me and Heather would sit next to each other. It was a Giant game at a time. And we would argue and fight and say we love each other after the game. You know, and that was how we'd go. But we had so much fun. It was like Aunt Gina and all the young kids. You know, just go to a Jets game, you know. And it was always fun. You know, I love watching football. It was a family Sunday thing we always did when we got together. You know, so football's my thing. That's it.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy, when she used to come to the game with my friends, and then I'll let you ask a question. I want to just tell you, she used to say to me, like after the games, because we lost a lot. Those were like the Kotite years and everything. And she would say to me, wow, your friends are taking this really hard, man. Your friends, wow. I think they're going to look to get into a fight. Yeah. I don't know. They look like they want to fight.
And we'd sit in seats up in the 300s rows, but those were so much fun, those seats. Like I've had
the best
seats right below the box seat, like somebody would give me tickets, and the people are just so prim popper, and they're like, no, I can't sit here. These people are too quiet. They got to get up and yell, you know. And I felt uncomfortable sitting there. I wanted to go sit back up to the third level.
Right,
I'm with you.
I'm with you. So, Jeremy, go ahead, buddy.
I'm just wondering, hearing about the ground round, hearing all this great stuff about how you got GreenBean into the Jets. There was never a time, especially in like the last few years with Adam Gase, you know, or like any moments during the years where the Jets broke his heart, broke your heart, broke all of our hearts, where you thought to yourself, if I could go back in time to 1982 or 83, and I could instead say, stick with your family. The Giants are going to win 4 Super Bowls, and I'm going to save you a life of heartache and pain and do everything I can to convince you not to root for this team. Was there any time you ever considered that, like that you would say yes to that question? Okay.
Absolutely not. I was never going to be a Giants fan, and I was always the oddball out, but I was always the underdog favorite. Like that was my team.
And no you took GreenBean with you.
I think I can remember winning when we had Mark Sanchez, like the first year he was playing with us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other than that, I can't remember us doing a good job, like getting into the playoffs. You know, prior to that, I don't know. I don't remember. So there's reasons I don't remember, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, you know, Gina and I were very, very close since that. You know, she was, she took me around in her car. She was the young hip aunt, you know, she would like take me. And so because of that, we hung out for many years. And you guys know my background. So, you know, we hung out through some good times and some tough times too. But the thing is she's always, I'm telling you, every single year when the Jets are about to start, doesn't matter when we've talked, she's always calling me, texting me, this is the year. We're good. We're going to do it. I like our team this year. Every year, Jeremy. She's always positive. It's incredible. Truly.
The positive energy. I yell at the TV too. I yell at them. I said, they can hear me through the TV. Your dad would say, no, they can't. I'm like, yes, they can. Look at that play. You know, you got to get loud. Yeah. I'm a definite crazy Jet fan. Like, I remember Krista, she had posted something on Facebook that said, I love my crazy Jet fan loving mom, loud, crazy, ADHD, and something like that. like she just wrote it on a piece of paper and I saved it because my daughter, Kristen, now Anthony and Desiree are my older two and they are Jet fans. And my youngest daughter hates football and hates the Jets because I used to yell and scream at the TV while she was in her little playpen thing, and I used to scare her. And I was watching my neighbor's dog, and I was watching the Jets yelling at the TV. And this poor dog didn't know what to do because he was scared too. And I'm like, oh shit. I said, I can't have your dog here during football anymore. That's it. Take him home. I scared the poor thing, But it's fun.
Well,
I'll always be a Jet fan, and I'll always think that we've got this.
Yeah. Well, I know, and you're good like that.
Last year we couldn't buy
bad
anything.
times.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Gina, when you think back though to the Jets, what are your favorite memories? Like, so give me some highlights when, because look, you maintain being positive in the dark times, but there have been some good times. So what stands out to you? What's one of your favorite games or periods of time with the Jets?
My favorite game was when we played Miami and kicked their ass in the last few minutes of the game. That was definitely my favorite game. And from that game on, no matter what Jet game I went to, I would not leave until the game was over, because you always have a chance. And I'm always thinking that way. Well, they can come back. There's a chance. And anybody that knows me knows I'm Jets crazy. I've got all this stuff at the house, and I finally took it all out of storage and put it out, and the Jets won that day. So everything is still left out in my living room like that because I thought that would help with Indianapolis. But, my best part was going to the games with you guys. Like, really was. It was a lot of fun, And now we're all separate. We're all over the world, Yeah,
so, and even right now, I am in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm coming to you guys from Baltimore instead of Virginia.
In Mexico,
right.
New Jersey.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jeremy's in California. You're in Myrtle Beach. We're all over the place, even on this stream right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you sound you're under the water right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting a little sketchy here. Can you still hear us?
I have people texting me.
Oh, yeah. So, again, Gina is literally in the middle of a convention in Myrtle Beach that she's helping to run.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, what do you got?
You guys. So how did you guys become Jet fans? I know, Kyle, you always say it's me.
Well, Jeremy, why don't you do that? What happened with you?
Sure.
Okay,
I grew up in
for a
Brooklyn.
minute. Yeah.
I grew up in Brooklyn, so I'm the kind of person that likes the home team.
The team is
I never understood
we're frozen.
people.
No, we're good.
You guys frozen?
No.
You're frozen.
Yeah, it looks like Gina's having some difficulty here.
Anyway, I was the type of person who's always liked the local teams. I never understood people who like teams from other cities. And one time I just remember in
You're good.
I was in we can hear you. I was in fifth grade, and a friend of mine from school, from my class, and I don't know how it ended up happening and I have no memory of watching the Jets before that. I probably watched a little bit, but we were watching the wild card game, a playoff game between Buffalo. It was the year before the Mud Bowl. It was the Jets versus the Bills. And it was the same kind of thing as it's like, that's what me and GreenBean have in common, is it started with heartbreak for me because they were coming back. They were making this great comeback, and Richard Todd was the quarterback, and I think they were at like the 25-yard line, from making this huge comeback. And Richard Todd drops back. It's near the end of the game, and he throws an interception. He throws a pick, and I was just devastated because I thought they were going to come back and win. And then I just got so into them. Like, even though the season was over, by the next year I was watching every single game. And then, they broke my heart against, I was watching that game when they played Miami and all the interceptions. But I remember also, though, just to spin a positive to that season, the playoffs were leading up to that game against Miami were a lot of fun. Like, locally in New York and Brooklyn, I remember them would play advertisements for the game, and it would be like Cincinnati was in the Super Bowl this year, like when we had to play Cincinnati in the playoffs, and they'd show Richard Chard, he'd say, yeah, but this year they got to play the New York Jets. And it was like this big thing where they would pump up the games. And it was a great run to that game. It was a great run up. Like there was, it was a lot of fun.
It was. So that was a fun year, man. It really was. The sack exchange was out of control that year. That was when they made the term sack exchange and all that. So, Gene, before we let you go, I want to just get your thoughts. Hopefully you're coming in clear now. But what do you feel about this team? Like right now, where are we going? I mean, I know you're positive to a fault, but seriously, how do you feel about Zach Wilson, our coach, our general manager? How you feel about our future with these guys?
I feel good. I think our head coach has got to get more comfortable and get like how he was when he was in San Francisco and stuff like that. Like, come on now, get on them. I think we need a couple experienced members on that team because all this inexperienced rookie stuff, I know they keep saying they want to grow the team and this and that, but they've been saying that for years. So I don't have a problem with Mike Douglas, and I don't have a problem with our coach. I just think they need to get some more experienced players and help these young kids. And then we'll have a good team when they all stay healthy. It's the way I feel. I believe in them. I think it's going to happen. I have grandkids now. They're 2 boys. So my 8-year-old grandson, I tried to convince them to be Jet fans because their mom is a Jet fan. Their dad is a Panther fan, but I like the Panthers, my second team. So I don't have a problem with that. But my grandson went to a game with his mom and put a blue shirt on because he wants to be a Giant fan. I'm like, oh no. And she's my girlfriend. So when I went to New Jersey, I told him, well, you could like the Giants, but you have to be okay. So now I got to buy 3 jerseys. One for Michael, one for Stevie, and one for Giovanni, because Giovanni's too little. He doesn't watch football, but he sees his brother play. So now they're at the ages where they're getting interested in football. So it's a lot of fun. I love having them, the little boys. And then, because I had Kyle and then his sister, and then he was like, they were just the cutest kids, but he was the first. He made my father nice. My father was pretty tough. And then Kyle's here and he's like Papa's buddy. And my dad got real calm. And I was like, who's this guy, But yeah. Because my dad was a Giants fan, but she's like rooting for the Jets too. So your sister Hannah kind of is like both teams.
Yeah,
she doesn't really care.
Sympathy, they just feel bad for
them. Yeah, I know, but you know what? It's okay. We're gonna do it one of these days. But I think Richard Todd was paid off. I really do, and I think the umpires and refs were all part of it. That's what my thinking was.
Yeah.
Because, come on now. They had bad calls and everything. And then those interceptions he would throw. Yeah, no, it's not good. I got people texting me.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it, man. Yeah. I mean, that stuff happens. It did happen back then. Yeah, much more so. Nobody could see. Like now with social media and cameras everywhere, everybody gets caught saying and doing stuff. But back then, it was easy. If somebody goes, hey, look, we're going to throw you a cool mill to take a dive here. I go, okay, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just like boxing.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. So just so you guys know, when she keeps talking about this guy, Kyle, she's like, and Kyle, that's who I was in years past.
I'm sorry. I should say GreenBean.
No,
you should have told me.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, my wife still calls me that too, if you can imagine that. Only certain people still call me that weird name.
Yeah.
But Gene, we're gonna let you run, man. You are awesome. Is there anything that you want to say to the people in the chat before you leave? Anything of hope?
Listen, my email address is GreenBeanjetsfan. So there you go. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Never changing. But I've been enjoying myself with this. So thank you for having me on this.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and I'm grateful for you. I want you to know that on so many levels, you're amazing. And even though it's been tough, Gene, I'm grateful. I'm a Jets fan. This is
Okay.
when we win, it's gonna be worth it. I know it is. Thank you.
And we're gonna have a party.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. Wherever you are, I don't know. We're traveling man. Wherever you are, we'll have to get together. I love you. Thanks for
I love
joining.
you too.
Let me join in.
Right
All
on.
right.
You have a great day.
It was
Okay,
great
you
to
too.
meet
Love
you.
All
You
right.
too.
Bye.
I'll chime in on the other Jet channels another day.
All right,
Okay.
Gene.
Bye.
Bye. So there she goes, Aunt Gina. And we had a couple issues there. Sorry, Jeremy. It's
Hey, it
what
happens.
is. But she's an interesting lady. Yeah, she's out there. She's running around there. She's part of a board. They're running a convention. So she peeled off to spend some time with us. And it's interesting to hear that, she's like, well, you were just a cool kid and I wanted to make you a Jets fan. You see, she's motive driven. She takes all the young kids. She has the grandkids and the nieces and nephews, and she puts Jets jerseys on them, trying to get them to cross over to our side of things. What do you think of that?
I love it. It's like a fan recruiter. And look at this. You got a super chat, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thank
cool
you. So
that she does
V-Man,
that.
thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. He says Jets issues on defense is they lack talent. D is made up of late round picks, reclamation projects, and undrafted free agents. We need a linebacker, cornerback, safety, and another edge in 22. What do you think of that, Jeremy?
Yeah, look, we definitely we need more talent. There's no question about the fact that we need more talent, but we were 2-14 last year and had no talent. We've also been decimated with injuries. It's not like JD didn't go out and try to address the issue. And we lost the key pickup of the offseason. Our key defensive pickup like that. If you're going to pick one player that was going to have the biggest impact on our defense, and then they took that guy away, and me and Frankie were talking about it. We're not the Bears. Like I said, I mentioned Khalil Mack, and Frankie said, well, he's a lot better than Carl Lawson. I said, yeah, but Chicago has more talent on their defense. So from a certain perspective, it was more harmful to us to lose Carl Lawson. But I agree. Like we still have more talent. We still need to recruit more talent. And that's what the whole part of this rebuild is, right? We got all these picks coming. That's why we built all this draft capital. And I think you're going to see it. I think this offseason, you're going to see us acquire more talent on defense. Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. I mean, look, I don't think anybody can deny that we're early on in a rebuild. I mean, the first year JD came here, he got hired after all of the offseason was over, right? So he watches the year, he brings in 7 offensive linemen the next year, goes out and gets some free agents, makes some trades, gets some draft capital, and he starts to build. Last year, he made the decision to tear it down. I'm not going forward with Sam Darnold. I'm getting rid of Jamal Adams. I'm cutting Tremaine Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Darrell Roberts, Quincy Enunwa. He cleaned out the cupboards and used that cleaning out to acquire a couple years of draft capital. Let's not forget, he created an additional draft class worth of draft capital. So what that's going to do is accelerate things by at least one season. Now, a week ago and earlier in the season, everybody was talking about how well these, like V-Man said, these late round picks, reclamation projects, which I don't see many reclamation projects outside of Jared Davis. I think he's the one that you can be called a reclamation project. But when you look at Javelin Guidry, Bryce Hall, Brandon Eccles, Michael Carter II, there's no reclamation projects there. That's what he would say, the late round picks and all that. They were playing far past their draft position, and guys like Bryce Hall and Michael Carter, I think Brandon Eccles will need to be upgraded, but he's still good as like a dime corner and all that. He's good. I just don't think he's a starting cornerback level, probably. But most of these guys, they're keepers. You know what I mean? Like, they're keepers. I think Michael Carter II is our starting nickel. I think Bryce Hall is our starting cornerback, one of the two. The safeties are what they are. Look, Ashton Davis had a better game. You're going to have to give him time. He's in his 3rd game of the year. You know what I mean? Like, I understand, but I wouldn't say that our D is all of a sudden atrocious. For the first 5 games of the year, 4 games, they were the ones keeping us in it. Like, our D was playing really well. They were really playing well. But like, so the last 2 games, they got their asses handed to us. Now, when you look at the game, which I watched it again, I maintain what I was saying during the game, which is they're fucking out of position, man. Like, the schemes that we're running, there is so much space. And it's really bothersome. I'm not really sure what they're doing with the defensive calls. Like, they're really trying to focus on this pass rush getting home. And when it doesn't, everybody's kind of in a liability, like they become liabilities. I don't know what that is or what they're doing. And I'm certainly not a defensive coordinator, right? But at the same time, man, I think while saying we obviously need talent, this is essentially year 1 of a rebuild with a little added stuff. Mekhi Becton, Denzel Mims, and those guys from the 2020 draft class, they're part of it too. But it's really the first year of this team. Of course, we need talent, but I'm not sounding the alarm bells. Like, this is the kind of games that I expected to see all year. Maybe not 45 points, but I expected to see sloppy. I expected to see a better team beat us. I expected that. They're a better team, the Colts. Their offensive line is like top 3, top 5 at worst in the NFL, man. And we couldn't do anything against them. But like Jeremy said, we had a rash of injuries. And even like Bryce Huff, the guy who replaced Carl Lawson, is out. So like we're on the 3rd line right now trying to get those guys. I think we're playing well, man. I think that what we're seeing is a lot of guys getting their time, getting their experience, and I'm not really feeling what a lot of Jet Nation is feeling right now. I'm just as disappointed. I'm just as I wanted to win that. And I wanted, Mike White going down and all this shit. I'm bent about it. At the same time, man, like, you looked at a team who didn't stop fighting the whole way through. They were outmatched. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If your defensive lineman can't pressure the quarterback, he's going to find people. It's just that simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a rubber band, right, and you keep stretching it, and stretching it, and stretching it, and when I say stretching it, that's an analogy for the injuries, right? We keep next man up, next man up, next man up. We got guys starting that we're taking off the trash heap. I don't care how good, no matter whatever the situation is, at some point that rubber band is going to snap. We've seen it happen to other teams too. Teams get decimated with injuries, and it breaks eventually. I mean, there's only so many guys you can fill, and we're a 2-14 team. I mean, look what we started with this year. So we're not a team that has the deep depth yet. It's amazing that our defense held out as long as it did. It's amazing that some of the games, the way we played defensively, you consider everything been through.
Right. And don't forget, guys, like, we came out the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, we came out 3 and out the whole first quarter. That's been what we've been doing. Mike White came in the other night. Our first drive, we had 2 first downs and then had to punt. Fine. Still progress. 2 first downs. We had a little mini drive going there. Next drive, he comes in, marches down the field and for 95 passing yards, throws a beautiful touchdown to Elijah Moore, and he gets taken out. You know what I mean? Like, the guy looked like we were going to be able to compete with them. Okay. Josh Johnson comes in. Don't forget, now our 3rd quarterback. It takes him a quarter and change to get ready. And sure, they were playing a little bit looser, but dude, 317 yards is not what they wanted to give. Almost 37 points. Believe me, that's not what they were trying to do. We were succeeding. We were doing stuff. Now, how many times in our Jets fandom have we watched a team just fold? 40 point, we're like, fuck this. And they go home and the game seems to take 9 hours because we're not even playing. We saw a team that is making progress, dude. And we got to evaluate guys like Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, Elijah Vera-Tucker, all these young guys. Like, we're seeing them start to gel, start to make an impact. That's what this year is. Like, again, I'm disappointed that we lost too, but to go from the Cincinnati game, which it was such a fun game. It was so great to go 4 days later and everybody's saying, like, again, we're back to like everybody needs to get fired. Like, I can't understand it. I really can't. Like, we saw a ton of progress. In the beginning of the season, we all thought our offense was going to be good. Our defense was going to be a liability. Turned out for the first 5 weeks of the season, the defense came and outplayed what we thought they were going to do. The offense was really stagnant, having a hard time. They've had 1,000 yards of offense over the past 2 games. That's like never happened for us since Namath. That's the last time that we saw what we just saw. Can we at least hang our hat on that for fucking 10 seconds? Like, can we at least acknowledge that?
Yeah, I mean, be happy. That's what I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, the last 2 weeks, because it's all about, like, in a rebuild, checking boxes, right? What positions have we solidly filled? Can we celebrate that after a tough start? Elijah Moore is starting to show that we're going to have that great receiver that's like super reliable, makes yards, not only yards after catch, but catches the ball. Look at the amount of targets he had in the last 2 weeks and how many receptions he had. When you target the guy, he makes the completion. And then look at Michael Carter at running back. Look at our slot corner. He didn't have a great game, but he's been having a great season. Carter the second. Look at the slots that we're filling. Look at the positives. Look at the different spots we're filling in year 1 of this rebuild, knowing how much capital we have going into next year.
Right. And I want to thank Frankie from Flatbush who threw this up there. I think it's a great idea. Where did it go? I lost it. He said, where did it go? He said, PredictorBot's not it's not looking good for the Buffalo game, which it shouldn't, by the way. He says, thanks, Aunt Gina. Let's nominate Aunt Gina for the Jets Fan of the Year next year. And we could nominate for the Jets Fan Hall of Fame. I think that would be cool, man. Aunt Gina Arena. If we all did that, she's the one. She's out there, changing kids. She's stealing children for us for this to keep the Jets fan youth alive. She did it with me. It would be really cool if you guys have a second to make that nomination. Gina Arena is how it's spelled. It's scrolling along the bottom, and I thank you for that, Frankie. I think that's a great idea. So let me ask you. So we heard some good news and we heard some really bad news. I'm a big believer in hearing the bad news first. I believe in that. So the bad news is that Marcus Maye blew out his Achilles and he's done for the year. And really, for all intents and purposes, this could be done it could have been his last play as a New York Jet. How are you seeing that? What are your thoughts, Jeremy? Talk to me.
Well, we've already been kicked so many times in the gut. I'm at the point of the season where the things I'm focusing on is, and don't get me wrong, I want wins. I'm not thinking draft or losing, but what I'm focused on is looking at the things we were just talking about. I want to see Elijah Moore get better. I want to see if it's Mike, like I've said, Mike White or Zach Wilson, I don't care. I think people will jump at the gun too soon. But when Zach Wilson comes back, I want to see growth and improvement from him. Michael Carter to keep doing what he's doing, both of them. I want Becton to come back and look good. I want AVT to develop. These are the important things to me. I'm thinking ahead to the future. So if it was an AVT, had that happen to his ankle, it would be much more devastating because I had a feeling Marcus Maye was going to be gone anyway. And to be honest, I can't help thinking, boy, did his agent screw him, because it's everything that you talked about. Boy, did his agent screw him over, because it's everything you said. Everybody who doubted you, go back and watch the video and look at what your whole point was. JD went there and said, I have you at this price and you have no guarantees to protect yourself. And I'm coming back and saying, why should I pay you more? But I'm going to give you more of a guarantee to secure you. Because the players always got to say, I got to feed my family. Well, right. He came and he was going to guarantee you $20 million. Probably he's probably going to guarantee like $8-9 million, but years, and probably another $2 or $3 million guaranteed going into the third year, something like that to cut him.
Right.
And we can always guess, right? But I mean, at worst, it must have been something like that. And his agent screwed him.
Totally. And thank you for saying that, because that's the truth. I was trying to make that point. I can't seem to get this hair right, Jeremy. It's bothering the living shit out of me today. But that was my whole point. It's like when the agent is out there throwing Joe Douglas under the bus, and we didn't hear Joe Douglas's side, and everybody was kind of jumping on it. Yeah, 20% less, blah, blah. Joe Douglas had Marcus Maye for $10.6 million, nothing guaranteed. He came at, let's say he offered 80%, 20% less. So if he offered him 3 years at $8 million a year with $20 million guaranteed, that's an extra $10 million guaranteed for a $32 million, 20 guaranteed. Marcus Maye's agent just lost him $10 million, potentially 32 if he played well and they kept him throughout the contract. But at bare minimum, 20 million. That's what Joe Douglas was offering. I mean, again, we have to guess, but just going by what his agent said, 3 years, 20% less, that's $32 million. Oh, no, it's $24 million, right? Sorry about that. So it's $24 million. He just got injured, Achilles injury, potentially career ending. We don't know. He's 30 years old with an Achilles injury. That he just essentially, because of his fucking ego and all that kind of stuff, he just lost his client $10 to $14 million because he wanted to throw Joe Douglas under the bus and say he was the worst GM in the world. Well, who's the worst agent in the world now? Now Marcus Maye is guaranteed nothing. And honest to God, even though I'm on the Jets side with this one, I feel for him. Who doesn't like Marcus Maye, dude? You know what I mean?
I know it stinks. I felt guilty for thinking it but I put most thought towards the agent, not towards Marcus Maye, because it's the agents that's guiding these young men, right? That they pose themselves as these experts, and I can get you this money, and this is what you deserve, and they're constantly putting it in their head. This is what you deserve. This is what's fair. The agent is probably smart enough and understands and was smart enough to know the risk that was being taken. But did he go up to Marcus Maye and give him that side of it and say, by hurt, like a serious leg injury, it's over, and that's the last 10 million you're going to get? Because right now he's a $1 to $2 million pickup for a team if he comes back.
Totally
right, like a flyer.
Right. It's all going to be prove it. It's all going to be prove it stuff. They'll get him for $1 million. Let's say, positively, like on the positive side, generously, $3 million. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what's he going to get? And that's the stuff. Like, again, his agent decided not to consider all that. And Joe Douglas, like, look, dude, if I want to franchise you next year, I can. If not, there's no reason to give you more than I already have you for. And his agent is terrible. I want to take a second and say hello to Lawrence Owen. That's Lawrence from Colts Law, who we spent some time with this week. Pre the Jets Colts game. Very respectful, knowledgeable fan and podcaster himself. I thank you for stopping by, Lawrence. And he chimes in and says, I hate seeing injuries, especially what happened to Maye. Hope he gets right by next year. And thank you, man. You're a good fan. If you're still here, thanks for popping in. And you're one of those good fans. He's very respectful. He's not like a pompous ass, I like to call him, Jeremy. Those guys, they come in to talk shit and all that. But yeah, and it's a bummer, man. When you see guys go down, I'm never happy about it. Whether it's the other team, our team, and in that game, it looked like we might have lost Mike White for the year. We didn't know what was going on. And then Maye goes down. We lost a few other guys. It's just one of those things, man. So thanks for popping in, Lawrence. If you guys didn't get a chance to support Colts Law, he does all kinds of player breakdowns pre-draft, and it's an excellent channel, and you would do well to support him. Pure Adrenaline Sports is here as well. Thanks for popping in, John. He says, sorry I'm late. No sweat, buddy. No sweat. Jeremy and I were able to stop by Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports the game day, actually. That was Thursday night before the game, and hung out with them. Another great watch. So I wanted to get to a comment. Jets Forever popped in, and I know I'm behind on the comments, but there are some good ones that I wanted to say. I wanted to bring up there. He says, we gave up 200 yards before contact. That's outrageous. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That if they gain 200 yards before contact, to me, what I hear is players are out of position. Now, there was one play in particular where they They threw a pass. I forget who the receiver was, but he caught a pass. There were literally 5 New York Jets in the area. Not one guy was on them. Not one guy was on them. So whatever zones they're running, when someone comes into your zone, you're supposed to pick up the guy, not let them run through your zone. You're supposed to at least take that option away from the quarterback while he's in your zone. That's so whatever they're doing on the defense, there's something off there. We did it in the Patriots game too, and I didn't like it then. So anyway, do you have any thoughts about that? That is an outrageous stat, man, but I don't attribute that to the players. I mean, obviously the defensive line was getting owned by their offensive line. And the truth is that's probably appropriate, man. They're as good as they get. And we're injured all over the place and stuff like that. But as far as the linebackers and defensive backs, the fact that they gained 200 yards on us, to me, I hear out of position. How are you hearing that? Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'm thinking definitely scheme. I'm like some of the things I was thinking was it's almost as if we went into the game and like we didn't know they had this great running attack. Like there was it didn't feel like we had a scheme or a plan for this a great offensive line and this amazing running attack. And then we continue to see ourselves get destroyed by screen passes. So so I still don't understand why that can't be something that there must be a way otherwise to stop the screen. Otherwise every single team would screen all day long against every other team, right? So we know there's a way to stop it. I think it comes back to the linebacker play. I think, man, but maybe the scheme put them in the wrong position. So right, that's the thing you debate. Were the linebackers in the right position to succeed? Did we have the right scheme to succeed? Because 200 yards before contact. I mean, you said it. I mean, there's no way. Crazy. There's no way you can't look at the coaching and look at the game plan.
Totally. Now, in addition to that, like you were just kind of touching on, in my opinion, and we talked about it all through the stream, the first 2.5 quarters, CJ Mosley looked like he was not CJ Mosley. He was getting juked. He was falling on his face. He got stiff-armed, like all kinds of – he just was not the same player. So when you get a guy like CJ Mosley, for whatever the reason, is off, he's off. Plus, the defensive scheme is not designed to stop the run, which it should have been, man. We should have made that quarterback, Carson Wentz, have to beat us with the intermediates. That's what we should have did. We should have done everything we can to crowd that line, cover Taylor and Hines, take them out of the game. They were running free all night long. So, again, I look at it it's a scheme thing. And I don't know what the design is or why the scheme is that way. Maybe it's because they're not confident in their cornerbacks yet being man and playing a little bit closer and all that stuff. And they are doing that thing, trying to keep guys in front of you. And I understand that. At the same time, when they're getting 10 plus at a clip, it's not working. So Jets Forever also chimes in and says, shout out to LaFleur. He's the biggest improvement. What do you think of LaFleur, man? Because that goes with another comment from It's Snoopy. He says, Thursday put a lot of pressure on Zach. 2 different quarterbacks have looked great playing within this system. And then you go with Jets Forever's comment. We got to give props to LaFleur. What do you think about that? You think Zach has added pressure? I mean, even Josh Johnson came in and threw for 317 and 3 touchdowns after look in 5 quarters, Mike White threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. So what do you think that does for Zach, and how do you feel about LaFleur?
I think it more than pressure, it's more eye-opening, but I think it's a combination of 2 things. I think the first thing is I think LaFleur, and we talked about this when Zach got hurt, was probably gonna change play calling and change the plan a bit because a lot of those plays still existed. They were running the same plays, but really put a focus on utilizing Michael Carter as a receiver and Crowder and dump off passes. And so I think that's part of it was the game plan and the way we approached the game, which is great for LaFleur because then because I hope it opened up everyone's eyes. I think the other half was that Zach was playing home run ball, right? He was putting the weight of the team on his shoulders and he was trying to win the game every play. So it's not about pressure. I think it may have been eye-opening. It's like, hopefully the lesson was, look what you could accomplish if you're willing to just take what the defense gives you. Not just talk about it, but actually do it. Actually remember where Michael Carter's going to be. Know you have that dump off, that safety valve to not only look, deep down the field, but happily take those Elijah Moore 8 yards to 12-yard passes and slants or what have you, and utilize your other receivers instead of looking for the home run.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, man. Like Zach, he's young. He's a young firecracker. And even though, just like you said, even though they're saying like, you don't have to do this, like Solomon said, play boring football and all those things. And he can say yes and get it intellectually. But when he's in the game, he's trying to be a hero. Look at the one game that he did look good in, which is the Titans game. Dude, that is the epitome of hero ball. Go. Like it just happened to work for him. But more times than not, it's more about the rest of the game. It's about those small plays. Saleh in his post-game presser after Cincinnati said, that's boring football. Pretty exciting, isn't it? You know what I mean? And that's the funny thing. It's like when you say boring football, shit, man, I could watch that kind of boring football for 10 hours straight. I could watch that. You know what I mean? 10 yards here, 7 yards there, 12 yards. Oh, yeah. I love it. And the fact that Mike White came in again and threw for 95 yards and that touchdown to Elijah Moore, dude, it was a whole different game before he, after he went down, it took Josh Johnson at least a solid quarter to kind of get his feet underneath him. And look what we did. If we came, let me just say this. If we came back, if we didn't throw that pick and he got 37 points, and we had a minute and change to onside kick it, I'm just going to say this. The momentum was on our side. Momentum is weird, dude. And the Colts have lost 2 games like that. So people minimize it, it's really just prevent. What, for 2 quarters, prevent? I mean, I hear you. They were definitely playing looser, but they weren't trying to give us 30 points, man. Okay. And they certainly weren't trying to let us go down there, get 37 and have the chance to onside kick it. They did not want to be in that position.
They were probably starting to panic.
They were definitely starting to panic because a couple of times this year, the game previously, it wasn't exactly the same, but it was very similar. It was a game that they should have won. And they didn't. So, believe me when I tell you, I don't think that at any point we looked better than the Colts. I mean, they're a better team, and I'm not trying to say that. But at the same time, we did get stuff going, which is not like us, okay? And the fact that we were first in goal, man. You know what I mean? We were there. And if we scored that touchdown, all the momentum was with us. That's when onside kicks work. Now, maybe it doesn't, whatever, but we at least had a chance to tie that game, dude. And the fact that we were that close, people shouldn't discount that. We shouldn't. These are the types of games that we expected to see. Games where we competed, but we were just outmatched. Games where we were sloppy and we could have, but we just didn't. That's what I expected to see. The first 5 weeks, that's what I didn't expect to see. You know what I mean? It's outside of the Titans game. When we were just completely dead on offense, that to me was more frustrating than the Colts game. And, like I said, the defense were the heroes for 5 weeks. Now they're getting exposed. That sounds about right.
And we had no idea the offensive line was going to come out so bad in the beginning of the season and need that much time to gel. I mean, they're a different offensive line now. There's no, they're completely different. Now they're even if they're not great or where we want to completely be, they're an NFL offensive line at least. I mean, the first few weeks it was painful. I mean, they weren't even an NFL offensive line. Remember I said it. I said this is like Alabama versus Rutgers when we were playing New England's on one of the games, just based on the way our offensive line was just being dominated.
It was ugly, and they looked lost. They looked lost, which again, to me, looked like schematics. I mean, I think that what the coaches are doing is a lot of stuff that our team is having difficulty ingesting. And that's okay because they're trying, I think you talked about this really well. You said there are really 2 schools of thought. One is, hey, jam it down their throat. They'll be exposed in this all year. By the end of the year, then they'll just start to to understand it. It's going to look ugly for a long time, but that is a way to do it. Another way is like a tiered system, little bits and bits. And I probably would have chosen the tier system, but it doesn't look like they are. They're just saying, hey, this is our fucking offense. Figure it out. We'll deal with the sloppy times in order to get you guys where we need you. And hey, look, it's working in a lot of facets. People talk about the offensive line, and look, rightfully so. Like Greg Van Roten is a weak point of our line, but at the same time, I want to also point out the tackle depth. Okay, like we lost Becton and we lost Fant, and the guy that came in played almost perfectly, except for one penalty. He had a false start penalty, not even a hold, a false start. Like we have to pay attention to that stuff. Like you can't do everything in 1 year when you have a retirement and a spinal injury to that exact position as well. And now we have other guys. He went out and made the trade for Tardif, and we have Isaiah Wilson and Feeney back there. But it's like we have to give this time. If you look at the line, our tackle depth is exceptional. Becton, Fant, Moses, Chuma Edoga. I know a lot of fans are hard on Chuma Edoga, but the guy's better than you think he is. He's definitely going to get an opportunity to start next year. I don't think we're going to be able to keep him. He's going to go somewhere and get an opportunity to start. What do you think about that? And then we're going to get to Anthony's super chat here. I got to get a plug, Mike. I didn't realize I wasn't plugged in. My computer's going to die. But answer that. What do you think about the offensive line, the tackle depth? Are you concerned? There was some rough PFF grades that came out this week concerning Van Roten and all that, but they look a lot better to me. How do you see it?
Yeah, I just think, I think they were outplayed. They were playing a better team. They were playing a team that's much further along in what they're trying to do. The Colts have been playing very good defensive football for a bunch of years now. They've been competing for playoff spots. We're a 2-14 team last year, coming in year one of a rebuild, learning a new system, rookie OC, rookie head coach, the whole thing, trying new things. It's not, there's going to be, they say it all the time, there's going to be ups and downs. And I think what they mean is that's going to be for every room. And I think you're going to see the offensive line against certain teams, certain defensive lines, they're going to struggle. But that's why you can't look at just the last week. You have to look at let's look at ABT the first 4 or 5 weeks versus weeks 1 through 4 versus weeks 5 through 7, 5 through 8. And look at the average score there. You can't look at last game and then start panicking about ABT, right. Just as an example. You have to look at chunks of games. And if you look at the 4 games, you see growth, you see the improvement. We just played we just came against a very tough team, and they were going to get some wins against us, and they were going to win some battles. And just because we want to win in the trenches on both sides of the ball doesn't mean we're in 1 year, in year one of a rebuild, we're going to be able to do it against the NFL's top talent.
Yeah. And I agree with you, man. And that's the way, I understand the emotional way of looking at it. But again, if you're going to talk about the lack of depth at right guard, you can't do that without talking about the depth to the tackle positions, because we're not just decimated across the offensive line, and we've been injured. You know what I mean? If you're going to talk about one, talk about the other, and weigh and balance that shit out, because it's not what it seems. It's not what you're saying. So Anthony chimes in. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. He says PFF ranked Ashton Davis in 81.5. the highest ranked safety. Well, look, you guys know this. I think PFF is a fine tool. But anybody, I get into these discussions with people, and they throw PFF numbers at you when what you're watching does not support that. Now, PFF is a tool. It's not the end-all, be-all. But one thing I can tell you, the eyeball test, Ashton Davis played a better game than he did the week before. He looked lost the week before, and he played a better game. Now, is he an 81.5? Let me ask you. The fuck does that mean? What does it mean? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's 81.5. Scoodly-doo. What? You know what I mean? But he's right. Anthony's right. He's laughing at it. And I saw Matt O'Leary said something. That's how you know PFF isn't the end-all, be-all.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. Because the truth is that they are just a tool. They are one way to look at it. Just like Frankie always with Football Outsiders, that's another way to look at it. Then you look at Next Gen Stats. The NFL says that's another way to. When you look at all of these, they do disagree at times. When you look at one is saying the guy sucked, and the other one's saying the guy had his best game as a pro. Well, where is it? You know, where it's probably somewhere in the middle. It just depends on how you're looking at it. The thing I can say is Ashton Davis looked better. He looked better than he did the week before. So any thoughts on Ashton Davis or the PFF grading?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, you know, Frank says it all the time. It's like until you create another tool, like there's certain tools out there. It's always been difficult to rate positions that don't have like the stats, like receptions, yards, touchdowns, right? I mean, it's always been difficult to, harder to rate those positions. So, I mean, it's just the way it is. And sometimes you have to use the naked eye. But I'll say this week, I was the most predictive week for me. Like I had a feeling for most of it, what it was going to look like. I knew CJ Mosley was going to like PFF was going to get crushed. I knew it. So I feel like it's not the end all be all, but there is, you could use it for sure. NFL GM does every GNFL, but then again, if you're not looking at tape and you're just using your PFF to sign your free agents and just using PFF scores, you're probably you're going to probably a pretty shitty GM. Because you do have to look at the tape and you have to.
Yeah, it's like it's a combo deal. I mean, look, so I use PFF. I look at PFF. I have through a certain avenue, I have the way to look at the pay stats on PFF, which is a little bit more descriptive. But even that, like sometimes I look at it and I'm like, no, it's not telling the whole story. But like Frankie said, like they're looking at things a little bit more in depth than we used to. I mean, shit, only 25 years ago, we didn't even count sacks. So there's a progress here, there's a progression. And when you look at all of them, you can find out what players are good, but I still like the eye test better. Like when you're watching someone and like, you can see, like, it's like, for example, a quarterback rating. Quarterback, when there are passes that they've completed, but somebody held. So it got like that shit's all wiped. That stuff's all wiped, and then a guy has drops. It still looks at the quarterback. So if, just like you said, if you're not watching, if you don't know all that stuff, and you're just looking at the stat line or the PFF or whatever, most of the time you're going to be missing something. So it's a combo deal. The one thing I can say, Ashton Davis is a raw young guy with uber athletic ability. Will he be good? I don't know, but he played better this week than he did the week prior, and that's a good sign. So Lawrence Owen checks back in. Good to have you here. And don't forget, he's coming from the Colts side. And he says, don't forget here, that 78-yard run by Taylor in the third did skew that yards before contact stat, because I don't think he got touched. So that's 80 yards right there. So again, I think the point remains the same, but that's another very good point there. It's like, guys, when you look at the numbers, there's a story that people are telling. And when they hand pick the numbers that they want you to see for the point they're making, but there's usually other points. There's usually other numbers. And thank you, Lawrence, for putting that out there, because without that, we'd be talking about $120. Not great. Okay. And I'm not going to say 120 yards before contact is good, but it's significantly different. You know what I mean? So thank you. Thank you, Lawrence. We'll do a couple more comments here, and then we'll let everybody enjoy their Saturday. Kevin Vafadoost says a few weeks off will be great for Zach's development. Now I know you're a big Zach Wilson guy. Just and not to say I'm not. I mean, I think Zach Wilson's going to be fine and all that. But how do you perceive this time off? Just like it's Snoopy and Jets Forever we're talking about a few minutes ago. Two other quarterbacks were able to come in. Now, they may or may not have adjusted the offense and all that sort of stuff. They probably did, right? But how do you see the time away in addition to the 1,000 yards of offense since Zach sat down? How do you think that's all going to play out when he comes back, which I do think he will?
I am hoping. I mean, it would be, that he is going to learn from it. We're going to see him playing the offense like that, that we're going to continue to see the ball spread out more. We're going to see the running back's a big part of the passing game, as long as that's what the defense gives us. The point is that if you get the situation where the defense that we play start playing for that and taking that away, that's when you want Zach to go home run ball, right? When they're cheating in, and we get like what happened with Elijah Moore 2 weeks ago when it was wide open and there was a penalty and White missed him. But how do you create that situation so you can play that kind of ball and you can go deep? Is first you have to do the dinks and dunks until you force the defense to cheat in. And I hope he learned from that. If he didn't learn from that, then I'd be very concerned, because it's like what Jimmy used to say about Sam Darnold. He used to say he's not coachable, meaning he's not learning, he's not changing. So if Zach comes in and it looks like the same kind of game where he's rolling left and throwing deep and, and only, throwing to a couple of receivers, and you don't see him dumping the ball off a lot. And that's going to be very concerning.
Yeah, that's it's interesting, right? Because like you said, look, and if you look at the Cincinnati game versus the Colts game, that play to Elijah Moore, that touchdown, that was very similar to the play where Elijah Moore broke free in the Bengals game. So you can see that, number one, Mike White was able to hit it. And we talked about this before the game. Like, the Colts were going to take away the short stuff. That was their whole goal, to take away most of the short stuff. And we were going to have to hit the intermediate to deep early in order to loosen them up, or else they were going to crush us. And we were able to do that in the very early going. Zach Wilson being able to hit the short to intermediate stuff is going to be paramount. And, Eminon says he don't think it's added pressure to Zach Wilson. He thinks it's educational. And Matthias Simon checks in as well, and he says, when Zach plays again, you will see him play much better. I believe when LaFleur went upstairs, he was able to dial this offense back a bit. You'll see. So that sounds like what you're saying. Do I have that right, Jeremy?
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. It's like I wonder if the injury made LaFleur do that, like because he of the situation, and now the eyes are open to say, oh, or if that was what was going to happen anyway. Maybe we don't know, because after Johnson came in and did what he did, now you have to start thinking it wasn't just that Mark White is this secret Tom Brady guy. I mean, he's very good, and I'm very excited about him and what he could be in the system. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying Johnson coming in and doing it also starts to make you think that maybe LaFleur knows what he's doing, and maybe they needed to learn. And he's a rookie OC, and maybe going upstairs, maybe he's taking his licks and learning, and maybe this system is going to work for Zach just as well. And now you're going to start to see him putting up those numbers too. But he has to cooperate with that. He has to stay on that script. He has to cooperate. If he doesn't cooperate and throws, doesn't check down and throws into coverage 20 yards downfield, and then we end up with interceptions, that's the problem. Then it's not working. And we're yelling at LaFleur, but no, because now we know, no, his offense said you should not have thrown to that guy. You should have checked down and you should have dumped it off to Michael Carter.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be big. Now, if he can do that, I think everything, the world is his oyster. But I think this could be good, seeing how effective these other two guys were in this offense. Matt Simon checks in and says, Mike White starts against the Bills and Zach starts the following week. How do you see it? Would you start Zach Wilson if he's ready against the ravenous Bills? You think that's a good way to bring him back, or would you wait the extra week?
I'd wait the extra week. I don't, because we're trying to build his confidence too. So I'm also into the psychology. The Bills are going to crush us. So
who was it before? I think who was it? All pain, no gain checked. He just wrote the Bills are going to kick our ass.
Yeah.
So I put it up before.
We've been saying it for weeks. So not that I want Mike White to get crushed or whatever, but I just give the knee an extra week too. Like, let's really give him a chance to build a muscle around the knee to really make sure that it's strong and 100%, not just that he can go. I would hate to see him come in. Whoever's playing quarterback is going to get hit, and and I just don't want, give him the extra week. What's the difference? And let him come back in against Miami and have a chance to come back and have a big game and reset the season for him.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it would be foolish to put Zach Wilson back in after 1,000 yards of offense from the other two guys, put him in against the toughest team we're going to play all year. You know what I mean? Like you said, there's more to this. The psychology behind it's like, let's just, again, there's reasons you can give the knee an extra week, give Zach an extra week. Just the whole thing. Let's bring him in versus Miami, a little bit more realistic opponent, and we'll go that way. So Jets Forever says Zach Wilson will throw 500 plus yards a game with LaFleur calling great games and him hitting the check down. Zach is always going to hit the big plays. And I think that's a good comment. Show Nuffo Madden says Greenbean for president. I'm with it, man. I'm with it. I tell you, if I was president, boys, a lot of shit would change. I'll tell you. Lots. I'd find that 21 trillion that they lost. I'll tell you that, Jeremy.
Yeah, I bet.
Our national debt is what, 15 trillion, and they just lost 21 trillion. They lost it. Get the fuck out of here. You supposed to believe this shit?
Money in pockets.
That's it. Lots of pockets, lots of money. That's how they're doing their fake space, their secret space system. All this bullshit that we're. Anyway, it's a whole different thing, everybody. Let's see what else we got, and then we'll wrap this up. So you guys, Johnson threw for 317 versus Indy. White threw for 95, right? That's 412 where I come from. That's 412 yards of passing offense, in addition to that we had like 78, 75 yards rushing with everybody. And look, everybody looks good, man. Like the offensive weapons look, not Mims, of course. Mims, I don't know what they did to that poor kid, but he's all of a sudden starting to catch with his body. It's not him. It's not him, dude. Whatever they're working on with him is not working. I would just say, forget it. Stop learning shit you don't need to learn and play the game you've always played, because I don't know what that is, and it's bothersome. I hope he bounces back. I think he will. Everybody has bad games, but that's the worst game I've seen in his entire collegiate and NFL career, and that's not good. I didn't want to see that. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. It's the only issue is that will he get the opportunity? Will he get the reps? Is there going to be, the window only opens up so many times. So,
yep.
The window is left open.
Right. He dropped a touchdown in against Cincy, and he dropped 3 passes against the Colts. And while everybody was catching everything. So not good. Not good at all. Even Jeff Smith came in and made some catches. So not a good thing. I know, right? Kevin says Mim's going to make me go crazy. I'm rooting hard for him too, man. I really am. He's one of my favorite players on the team. And in my opinion, I think he's the most talented receiver that we have. But you drop passes, I mean, there's nothing you can say. Yeah. So we're going to wrap this up, Jeremy. I want to thank you for making the time. I want to thank everybody for popping in to hear Aunt Gina. If you missed it, she's in the beginning. You hear how she became a Jets fan in a Giants family, and how she plucked a young blonde boy named GreenBean and made him. I didn't know she had such plans. She's like, no, I'm taking him. I'm going to make him a Jets fan. So that's what happened. I was preyed upon to become a Jets fan. But anyway, it's a good listen, and she hung out with us for about the first 30 minutes. But why don't you tell everybody what you got going on, and then we'll bounce out of here.
Just typical Frankie from Flatbush channel shows, 7 o'clock on Sunday, 8 o'clock on Friday. This show every week at 11 a.m. Eastern. And that's pretty much it. That's what I'm doing. And, other than being sometimes backstage, sometimes I'm backstage. So just know I'm there on Thursdays. Most Thursdays, helping GreenBean out from the back with Adam. So that's me, and I'm I'm on Twitter at Jeremy Cravat too.
Awesome. All right, guys. Again, don't forget about the contest we have going here. All you need to do is sub to this channel, sub to Full Time Coaster Tour on YouTube, and you are entered. You can win a T-shirt of your choice from the GreenBeanjetsfan.com merch store and a Manscaped Ultra Smooth Pack. If you'd like an additional entry, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram as well. And with that, I will let everybody have a wonderful Saturday. Jeremy, thank you for spending the time with me. And everybody have a great day. We will see you next time.
Thanks.
one, a violent vertical edge setter.
We competing today. I see some gas off the edge. Get that mindset to put your shoulder on somebody. Nick!